Last week, Canva held a keynote in which they announced a new Affinity app, this time combining all three of the Affinity suite, Photo, Designer, and Publisher, into one app with Canva integration. I'm not going to cover the announcement and its contents specifically because people who are much faster have already done so, but this merger made me curious about one thing specifically, which I hope to find out in this video. When all three apps became one, did they keep all of the features of each app, or is this new Affinity a dumbed down version of its predecessors? As of writing this intro, I don't know the answer either, so we're about to find out together. I made a Canva account for this video, so you better like it or whatever. Subscribe? You know what? I will give them 1 point for keeping extended offline access. While that installs, I just want to share my thoughts on this new announcement. My feelings are very mixed. So the AI aside, which I super don't f with, and it kind of seems like it doesn't even enter the equation unless you pay for Canva Premium anyway, I can't imagine this being a sustainable model, and I fully expect it to go the way of every other software that gets absorbed by a larger company, gutted, and then shut down. I'm very worried for the future of software that I have loved for years. I have gone to bat for Affinity time and time again, and I use this software professionally. All three apps in one program is great. I will say it has been mildly annoying to swap between apps. So merging all three apps, it's going to be a good quality of life update. And free software should always be a huge win, but it really feels like in a movie when something seemingly good happens, but the music is unsettling or somber in a weird way. That's what it feels like. I'm certainly going to be keeping version 2 around for proper professional use, at least until I no longer can. Version 2 is not going to be getting updates anymore, so I fully expect that I'm going to need to move to version 3 eventually, even if that's several years down the line, and that worries me. Alright, so we're being asked to log in, even though I'm pretty sure I already logged in. Kind of annoying that it makes you log in via the browser for a desktop app. My camera? What? Before you start, make a choice about your data. When you use Affinity, your usage data can help. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Agreeing does not allow us to use this data for AI. You can make that choice later in account settings. I would rather not, and it's good that it's toggled off. So I almost forgot to check this, but when I did click account settings and went to the personal privacy page, it does have allow your general usage to improve AI checked on by default, which is not great. However, it does not have allow your content to improve AI checked on. So it's good that it's not scraping our content by default, but it is tracking our usage. I'm going to turn that off, obviously. Not great that this was opt-out. We always prefer opt-in, so definitely make sure if you don't want your usage to be analyzed by AI that you uncheck that. Right off the bat, this is more eye-catching. It's not as aesthetically pleasing, but it is more eye-catching than these, which I'm going to be honest are a bit harder to parse. Alright, so in vector we have artboards, node. Well, they kept the corner tool, I love that. Oh, they kept the contour tool. Nice. What is this? Stroke width. Right, that was a newer feature in the old Affinity. That's so dumb. I'm sorry, why is this a tool? Vector crop. Remove portions of an object non-destructively. Is this new? No, it's not new. Okay. I don't think I've ever used that. What is a container layer? Oh, it's like Adobe layers. I wonder if you can import your swatches from older programs. Can I import a palette? Here we go. Nice, you can. All right, cool. One thing that I am not seeing is the warp group in version 2 designer. Let's say I have a shape and I want to warp it. There are several warp options. So let's do an arch, and you can change the size of the arch. But since this is vectors, you can still edit all of the original nodes. Granted, it's a little bit funky, but it is still fully editable and non-destructive. There we go. Look at that, you can see me now. On the vector menu, select a preset from the new warp group flyout. What do you mean flyout? New warp group, there we go. It's in a new place. You can still warp group. You can convert to curves. So now all of the things are like fully editable. This isn't new, this is an old feature. So something that I have been begging for from Affinity for years is image trace. And from the announcement, it seems like they've added it into version 3, and I'd like to try to find it. So we're gonna stick a raster image in here. Okay, they've added new things for artboards so that you can add them with a click of a button. I don't know how I feel about that. We should be able to vector trace this image. Image trace. Edge threshold. Curve fitting tolerance. I wish there was like a live preview. Split preview. I can't tell the difference. I don't know what it's doing. There's no difference. It didn't do anything. I'm so confused. Let's try that again? Question mark? It's not doing anything. I'm so confused. That's recreate vectored artwork from a flattened raster output. Yeah. Uh-huh. Does it need, it doesn't say anything about needing Canva credits. It literally didn't do anything. It hasn't created a new layer, or I think it's either very confused or broken. Okay, so good news. I did actually get it to work. I don't know why it does that. Here on the left is our pixels. On the right is our vectors live traced. We've lost the eyelashes completely. Like, we lost the color difference in the eyelashes on this eye. This finger's filled in. We've lost some halftones. So, like, it's not amazing, but it exists, I guess. I don't think this is going to be something that I use outside of maybe vectorizing some black and white images. Another new thing that has come to version 3 of Affinity is the gradient mesh. So if I take this, and this has been in Photoshop for a long time, but is coming to Affinity for the first time, we can now create mesh gradients. So I'm not warping the bounding box of this rectangle, I'm just creating a gradient within the rectangle that follows this vector mesh grid. And again, this is something that's been in Photoshop, that's been in actually not Photoshop, that's been in Adobe Illustrator for a long time. You could kind of hack it in previous versions of Affinity by stacking multiple vector shapes on top of each other with clipping masks, but now it is all in one mesh, which is really, really nice. What is nice is you can fully just swap between all of these. So it seems like you can turn on and off several different layout types, like UI, for professional typography, fast access to advanced text features and tools. So we have, if we're working on a poster or something involving a lot of type, access to color grading tools. You'll find a scope panel for more nuanced color tone evaluation, along with macro library panels for recording and playing back macros. Quick adjustments and adjustment presets are exposed for fast tonal manipulation. Tools such as the various selection tools, adjustment, and filter brush tools are readily available for localized editing. I'm curious if this is the default for when you open a Camera Raw file, which I do a lot of for product photo editing. So I'm gonna go to the pixel layout and I'm going to see what opens when I input a Camera Raw file. Okay, so it just goes to the develop UI, which makes sense because that's what it does in Affinity Photo. I wonder if I can import presets. Add preset and panels. Whoa. Hello? No. I don't think I can import presets from my previous. Oh, that's disappointing. I had so many presets. All right, well, I'm just gonna have to manually edit some of this. That's fine. So it sends us back to the pixel persona. How do I turn this off? How do I turn our like auto, I'm trying to learn what your preferences are so that I do automatic things with or without your consent guy off? Because I know there was a way to turn that off in 2. When are companies gonna learn that we hate Clippy? I know Clippy is like nostalgic now for the kids who never experienced him, but back in my day, because I'm an old who used Microsoft Word when Clippy tried to interrupt everything that you did, we turned him off. We decommissioned Clippy, okay? All right, well, it does seem like most of the features that I want out of developing a camera raw file are still there. I don't get like super deep into this color grading thing. I have actually no idea how to use any of this. Oh, interesting. Let me develop the same photo in version 2. Yeah, that's interesting. Hang on, in 2.0, when I developed a camera raw file, a .raw, after it developed, it turned into a pixel layer. So that's just a regular raster layer. In 3.0, it maintains its status as a raw file, or as a raw layer, rather, until I rasterize it, which is behind me, but whatever. So that being the case, could I then go back to... I can go back to the developer. All right, I see you, Affinity. That is very useful. One other thing I noticed that I want to show is just how much snappier version 3 is. So right now I'm in version 2, and I'm going to open this camera raw file, and I want you to observe how long it's taking to open. That was several seconds, right? And if I develop it, it's still thinking about it for quite a while. And you might not think that was super long, but when you compare it to version 3, I take that same file, and when I hit develop, it is almost instantly that we're in pixel persona. The other thing I'm curious about is how does loading in a PSD work? Okay, so here's a template from one of my manufacturers. If I load this in here, yeah, we load in like a normal PSD. Got all the layers preserved. Awesome, sweet. Let's see, we've got the move tool, the crop tool, object selection. Object selection requires the segmentation model to be installed. Manage installed models in selected settings. So this is a non-generative AI thing that they had in version 2. So this is in version 2. If you went to machine learning, you could install, and I actually did install the object selection, it seems. You could install a learning model that would select the object or the subject of the image for you. So you see it has detected this as the image in the photo, and it has selected it for me. It's not perfect. You can see back here, it kind of goes a little weird, but it actually does a pretty good job. And then I can do something like mask it if I need to, and that's really quick. And this is non-generative AI, but it is an AI model. If I remember correctly, they are fully opt-in. You have to specifically install the model in order to use this feature. So if you don't want it at all, you don't have to. All operations are performed on the device, so no data leaves your device at any time. It's basically a sped up version of doing this, right? Where this is like edge detection, but it seems like they kept it in the merged program. And it seems like that is not part of Canva's, it seems like that is not part of Canva's premium thing. These three with these icons look like they are. So I would not be able to install any of these. I'm not going to install segmentation today, but it seems like since this was originally there in 2.0, they've kept it free. I will say that I have never been as huge of a fan of Affinity's brush engine. I don't know if it's been improved. All of that looks the same. Of course, the actual settings are different, but they have all the same sliders. Blend mode, wet edges, associated tool, dynamics looks all the same. We've got our pressure graphs. Texture looks the same. Sub brushes looks the same. So it doesn't look like they've added anything new to the Affinity brush engine, which I'm not gonna lie, I much prefer using Clip Studio for actual digital painting. Adjustment brush tool applies a self-masking adjustment to... Oh, this is exposure. I don't know if that's new or if I've simply never used it before. Dodge, burn, and sponge. So it seems like we've got our dodge, burn, and sponge here. It seems like this adjustment brush might be new. Applies a self-masking live filter. I'm sorry. That sure is new. Oh. Wait, there's a glitch filter? What does that do? Oh, okay. It adds a crap ton of chromatic aberration. That's new. All right, shred. I found my new favorite thing. So... and these are all non-destructive. These are all non-destructive, and it seems like they apply on different layers. These are all live filters, which, new live filter layer. Here we go. So, like I said, live filters are non-destructive. Ooh. Hello? What? Anyway, like I said, live filters are all non-destructive, so you can do a whole ton of crazy stuff. And these have been in Affinity for a while. They seem to have moved from a button here up into the pixel menu. As you can see, I'm lagging quite a bit. Running a lot of live filters is quite taxing. Pen tools, so we do in photo, we do still have some vector tools, but the vector tools in the photo app have never been particularly robust. So if we want to edit that in like real high fidelity with like real vector tools, we would swap over to the vector persona. We used to have to file open in Designer and then it would open the secondary app with Studio Link. Now they're all in one. We have our layout tool, or our layout persona rather. I have not used Publisher nearly as much as the other two apps, but I have used it a little bit. So this is my line sheet for Glitchberry. This is for wholesale and consignment, and all it does is list all of my products, their retail price, their wholesale price, and their SKU. And it has a little bit about me and my company. So it's stuff like this that I've used Publisher for, because it can create PDFs for you. And also a lot of the tools like the place tool and these master pages, which let you create repeatable layouts, are really necessary for stuff like this. So once again, I'm going to put this side by side and do a little bit of a comparison. So version 2 is on the left, version 3 is on the right. All of these on the side are the same. It doesn't look like there's anything new here. I will say, and I said this at the beginning of the video, but I will say it again, I think that while the fully monochrome is more like aesthetically pleasing from a design point of view, I really think the colors in this, in 2.0, are much more easy to parse. I have not used Publisher nearly as much as Photo and Designer. Yeah, I don't know how much I can say about the layout view, but it does seem to have all of the tools that I had seen previously. One thing that I've noticed that I have not touched on is it seems like you can create a new studio with the tools that you like the most. So if I wanted to create a Berry's Faves, I'll give it the cat icon, because why the hell not? And then it seems like I can fully create a completely customized workspace using all of the tools. And it seems like you can even do that if you go over into like the vector fill or the vector studio. It seems like you can just kind of screw with everything in here and add whatever you want. So like say I want, so they have the place tool in here already, but say I also want the rectangle fill tool. I can just put that in there. And then I have the rectangle that I can place images in. You can also add separators for a little bit of clarity between all of these objects. You can also, it seems like, export and import these. You can share layouts, which is kind of nice. I have been pleasantly surprised. Let me know if there are any tools that I missed that are either new or were in 2.0 and didn't make it over and I just wasn't looking because I wasn't aware of them. It seems like there's a lot of tools that I actually wasn't aware of in 2.0 despite having used them for several years. So I totally could have missed something that was in 2.0 and I wasn't aware of. I definitely went into this thinking that I was going to be, if nothing else, moderately annoyed by the new layout. I still have all of the concerns that I had about the longevity of these programs ever since Canva had bought out Affinity, and this has been a concern of mine since that happened last year. But as for the actual software, I am pleasantly surprised at the capability of all three programs in one piece of software. I still think I'm going to use 2.0 until the point at which I can't anymore, but there are some things in 3.0, like those new glitch filters, that I'm very excited to use, and I'm a little bit less apprehensive about the new Affinity overall. Do you agree with me or do you disagree? Let me know your thoughts down below.